Hello team. Hey team, good to see you. We're going to have a little bit of a look today at one of my newest favoritist of tools, and it is our friend, here it is, NotebookLM. So if you haven't seen NotebookLM, all you need to do is go into NotebookLM, and there it is, right? It is a Google product, so you'll need a Google site for it. Okay, and we're going to log into it here, just like this. Here it is. All right. So I've obviously been in here before. Now, one thing to be aware with regards to notebooklm.google.com is that it is perhaps designed more for people in academia, right? So they have put it as being 18 plus, right, with regards to age rating. And what you do in here is you're going to create notebooks. So I've created a few here. And what you do, very clever, create a notebook. All right. And you might want to call it. So here I'm going to entitle this one IB Economics Internal Assessment. All right, just like that. And then here on this side here, you've got where it says sources. Okay, so you're going to click sources, and notes that you get from the sources, they're going to appear here in your notebook, and you're going to be able to do some pretty cool things with them. But first, let's click on add source. Now, this is really clever. Look at this. Look, you can just upload the source. So you can drag and drop files in there. You can go into your Google Drive and add Google Docs, Google Slides in there. You can put links to websites or YouTube links. They can go in there as well. And you can just paste copy text. There is a source limit, however. As you see down the bottom down here, you can get up to 50 sources, right? So if I want to go, in this particular context, I want to go to Google Docs. So it connects to my Google account because it's a Google program. So I'm going to go into my Drive. I'm going to go into IB. I was going to do one on internal assessment, so I'm going to find the internal assessment folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll go into here and see if I've got things in here that are worth putting in. Here we go. Here's our guidebook. We'll put that one in. And we just click on insert, and it appears in here. And it's going to immediately read that and put a note in here. Here it is. Ta-da. A summary note in here of that particular source, because you've only got one source in there, so it puts it in there. Now, as said, you can put any one of a number of different sources into the notebook, all right? And then you can turn on and off which source you want to refer to. You can ask it questions, all right, about that source. You can ask it to use the sources to create study guides. That's pretty clever. You can ask it to create a table of contents. Okay, all right, depending on what you want with regards to that, a timeline with regards to it, and a briefing document with regards to it. Then over here, there's some suggested questions. So these are the ones so the AI has read the document, and then it has said, how does the AI guidebook reflect the evolution of economic theory? All right, so these are possible questions that you can ask with regards to this. Now, obviously, I've set this up with regards to the internal assessment, but you might want to set it up with regards to some academic research that you're doing. Like I also have one for my academic research. So it's news articles, it's published journal articles, right? All of those, put them in, and then you can ask them questions. Right? And these are the AI ones that it has generated. The other really clever thing that it can do is it can turn all of your sources into a podcast. An AI-generated podcast. So the two AI voices talk to each other, okay, and they talk like a podcast. They're going to talk over the top of each other. They're going to add ums and ahs. They're going to refer to the material. They're going to use different speech patterns. It's really cleverly done. And as said, you can ask any and all questions of those documents as well. So you've got a podcast, so you're learning new material, right? You might have a new syllabus, or you're doing some academic research, and then you can just, listen to it as a podcast, or set it as a podcast and then share it with your students so that they can then learn. So it might be a really important case study that you are learning as a student. Chuck it into NotebookLM, turn it into a podcast, and then they can listen to the case study on the way home. So it's just a fantastic tool. What I have done with some of those other notebooks, so if I go back to my other notebooks, so these ones, all right, these are example ones, is I've created them and then turned them into podcasts and then used the podcast. I've grabbed it, you can download the podcast, and then I've uploaded the podcast into Canva. Right? And then in Canva, I have, so it reads it like a movie file, okay, but the audio track from the movie file. So then you create like a little presentation holder for it and stretch the presentation holder out for the length of the audio file. And then you've got for yourself a produced podcast that you can then share online, right? So say you want to push it to YouTube, you can actually then just put it into YouTube. And because YouTube now has a separate podcast playlist, so you can also create podcast playlists in your YouTube channel and upload this directly to that. Now, it's a fantastic tool, and I'm really, really impressed with it. And I think that this is a tool for academic research, right? Is going to be something that is just going to really help. Now, at the moment, as said, you can't do it for the students. So the students can't create their own notebooks, which would be really helpful for them. Because you imagine they could upload all of their resources from their lessons and turn it into notes that you can ask questions of, and podcasts. They can learn the material on the way home in the bus, right, for example, or the car. But they can't if they're under 18, right? Now, the reason why that is fairly clear, because Google can't control what they put into the notebook. So they don't want a whole lot of podcasts, etc., floating around that have not nice things in them. But you as the teacher, and this is where we're currently investigating it, can create the notebooks. So you should, in theory, be able to share the notebook, maybe in the future, with the student, given that they then can't create the notebook, but they might be able to then view the notebook and use it. And that way then they can get some form of control, or maybe they can create it, but only with this amount of data. So this is NotebookLM, and as said, it's relatively new. It's been talked about quite a lot online. You'll find lots of people using it, particularly for academic research, but it is a brilliant tool, one I'm really impressed with. All right, hey, Kōrero, have a fantastic day. Please remember, like and subscribe, and we'll try and do more of these videos. Thank you very much, team. See you.